Hello everyone, welcome back to Art Club with Miss Nevin, me, and this week we are making citrus decorations. So I will be showing you how to make three different types of decorations today out of citrus fruits. The first one is going to be a pomander, which is kind of like a bauble, but it also smells really nice. The second one is decorations that use the peel of the fruit, so like orange peel or lemon peel. And then the third one is cutting up your fruit into slices and then drying them so that they are then preserved. So before we do that, I just want to show you the student gallery. So thank you very much to the person who sent in these pictures of your photograph manipulations. I think you have used a magazine to make these, which is really good. That's a good way of doing photograph manipulations if you don't have a printer or a camera. So these are excellent. I especially like the one on the right where you have used weaving, because I didn't show you how to do that one. That's something you've done off your own back and it looks excellent. So well done. So the first one that I'm going to talk you through and then show you how to do is how to make a pomander. So it's a bit of a weird thing that you might never have heard of before. So it is a clove-studded citrus fruit that was used in the medieval times to perfume the air. However, you use them now at Christmas time as decorations, so like baubles and air fresheners, which is really cool. The cloves, which are the little kind of black things that you can see studded into it, they act as a preservative, so the oil in the cloves kind of seeps out into the fruit and stops it from going moldy, which is cool. So these perfume decorations will last for years and years, but their scent will only last for about 2 years, but still pretty good. So the things that you will need are a citrus fruit, so that's something like an orange, a lemon, satsuma, something like that. Then because you're going to tie it up and it needs air to circulate all the way around it, you need to have a ribbon or string. Next you're going to need the cloves, which usually come in a jar like this, and there's just loads and let's see if I can show you what they look like. So they're a spice, really. They're used in cooking. So an individual one will look like that. Okay, and they smell really strongly, very Christmassy. There you go. So you can get a whole jar of those for really not very much at all. You'll also need a toothpick or something similar, so a pointed object. Got a nail that I will be using because I didn't have a toothpick. That is literally just to break the surface of the citrus fruit because the cloves aren't all that strong. So when you are pushing the end of it into the fruit, that kind of end might snap, which is why you need to prick it first with something. So if you're confident enough to get going with that now, I'm just going to give you a tip before I do a demonstration. So you basically need the cloves to be quite close together. They probably need to be about 1/2 centimetre away from each other, or they can be a bit closer. The next thing is that over time, the fruit will shrink a little bit. So if you tie your ribbon really tightly, that will really help. And also if you don't put the cloves slap bang next to each other, so it gives it some room to shrink. Okay, if you are confident enough to get going just with that, please do so. If you would prefer to have a bit of a demonstration, that's what I'm going to do now. If you are joining along with me, the first thing that you need to do is get your citrus fruit and your ribbon at the ready, okay? So because I want this little green bit to be at the top when my orange is sat, well, hanging. I need to start with my ribbon going from the top. Okay, so I'm going to start it there. Make sure it's all the way around, so that's directly in the middle of the ribbon. I then need to twist the bottom so that it then goes up the other way. So I've just got a twist there. I'll show you that again. So you've got the ribbon like this. You can do this with more hands. I'm just showing you with the camera. So you've got your ribbon like this. You then just need to do a big twist so that that can then go up there. Oh. And then you need to tie it at the top in a nice big bow or something. So make sure that it's nice and decorative. Make sure your ribbon is on nice and tightly. And you can get somebody to help you by holding the fruit because it does kind of roll around quite a bit. But yeah, you want this ribbon to be really, really nice and tight around the fruit. I think that's actually one of the hardest parts of making this one, is simply getting the ribbon around it. Okay, there we go. So I've managed that. Okay, so the next thing that you need to do is get your either toothpick or I've got a nail. It's just like a small nail from the wall. And I am going to outline in small holes where I am, wait, where is that? Okay, so where I am going to go around the ribbon. Okay, so I'm just going one there, 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 and one there. Okay, so that has just gone all the way down the side of that ribbon, kind of outlining it. They should probably be about 1 centimetre apart. So it's big enough to fit your clothes, sorry, in. So clothes, or what? Can't really see that very well. But they come in a jar like this. You can get them from any kind of supermarket, and they will look like this. Okay, so you need to make sure you're holding the fat end of the clove so that the pointy end is going to go into the first hole that you have made, and you literally just push it in. There we go, and then you've got your first one in. So I'm just going to do the next ones now. Just push that in and push in the next one. Some of them are really long, which is quite nice because it means that they're getting quite deep into the fruit, which means that they're going to preserve it nicely. Great. So you're going to do this all the way along that ribbon, and then afterwards we're going to do exactly the same but down the other side. Okay, and that just means that the ribbon is going to stay exactly in place while we do the rest of it and while it's hanging up. And then you can kind of infill the gaps a bit. So I'm just going to do this off camera. That's how far I've got so far. I'm just going to come round and go up the other side and then do that for every single segment that is around my orange. Okay. So I've managed to do that, outlining the ribbon all the way around my orange with the cloves, and that keeps the ribbon in place when it is hanging up. But it also means that now you should be able to now make different patterns with the cloves that you stick in. And it won't matter what pattern you do because they should now all be close enough together to still be able to preserve the orange. So I've seen some good ones that start with maybe a dot here and then a circle and then a bigger circle, and that's quite cool. You could just do another line down here. Sometimes they look quite nice. Or I've also seen people put 6 together in the little like flower shape, and then maybe 6 down here as a little flower as well, and they look quite nice. So I'm going to let you get on with that. So on my one, I decided to go for some little kind of flower shapes. However, I did notice that between this one and this one, there's a lot of space here, and to make sure that the cloves can kind of penetrate the fruit with the oil so that it stays preserved, they need to be a bit closer together. So from here to here, that's now okay. So I just put in another line to kind of fill up that space, and I put a dot up here just to fill in that space as well. So that is pretty much as far apart as they can go. I did a different one earlier which looks like this. And this one isn't in a particular pattern, it's just kind of filled in each segment with as many cloves as I could get in, really. I actually really like this one, even though it's not a pattern. So you can just decide whatever you want to do. The next kind of decoration that you can make using citrus fruits are decorations made out of peel. So these work really, really well. And because it's only the peel that we're using, not any of the juice that's inside, they dry really easily. And when they're dried, they're preserved. So you don't need any cloves in these ones. So yeah, for this, you are effectively just using a cookie cutter or scissors to cut out any shapes that you like from the peel of your citrus fruit. And then you can make a hole in each bit of the peel while it's still like fresh. So don't let it dry before you put the hole in. Otherwise, it's really, really hard to get it in, and you could like break the peel. And that is pretty much it. So you can take inspiration from what's on the screen, or you can think about what you want to do as your own one. So the equipment list is on now. So you will need a citrus fruit. It can be literally any citrus fruit that you like an orange or a lemon or anything like that. You need a small cookie cutter shape, so it's small enough to cut out the peel. Or scissors. Scissors also works really, really well. So if you didn't have a star shape, for example, that would be a really good one to do with scissors because it just uses straight lines. You're going to need thread or string if you want to hang up your peel decorations, like in the picture, and a needle or a toothpick for making the holes. So for a demonstration, you can just continue watching. That's what I'm going to do now. So I've decided to use an easy peeler Satsuma for this because it's easy to peel and we just need the peel. So the first thing that you need is a nice sharp knife, and it's actually safer if you are using a sharper knife because it means that you're not going to have to push as hard, and you're less likely to kind of slip on the fruit. So the first thing that you need to do is identify where halfway is going around and make a slice in there and go the whole way around. Maybe it's easier if I show you that way. So you're going the whole way around the fruit, only really through the top layer. Okay, so I've gone the whole way around the fruit like that. Okay, I'm now going to do it the other way so that it's into quarters. So I'm going to turn my fruit this way, cut it just a little bit, just so that it's breaking the surface. Just all the way around again. So a good hold that you can do is something called the bridge hold. So it's literally your hand looks like a bridge and the knife goes through the middle of that. That one's quite good because then you get to hold both sides. I think that's quite a good one for this exercise, although just go slowly because it can be a bit fiddly. Anyway, so I have now got my fruit cut into 4. So I've got one slice going this way and I've got one slice going this way. Okay, now I can start to peel this off. It just makes it a bit easier. Just going to peel that off. This one's nice and easy because it was called an easy peeler Satsuma. So I've just tried to make life a bit easier for myself by buying something that's easy peel, but you can literally do it with any citrus fruit. Cool. And what's good about this one as well is you can keep the orange part, so the actual edible part, you can keep that for later and you can still use that. So I've now got my 4 bits of peel and I can use whichever cookie cutter I like. So I'm going to use this one and I'm going to try and position it in such a way that I can get more than one shape out of each bit of peel. So this edge of the heart shape is really good because it fits almost exactly into that bit of my peel. So I'm now just going to press down really, really hard. Make sure that kind of cuts through. As if you were making cookies, but really difficult cookies. And then that's just cut that out. I can then get my toothpick or whatever you're using. I'm using a really small nail and I'm just going to make a small hole in there. I don't know if you can see that. So just made a small hole at the top just there, so that I can get my string through later on. I'm now just going to leave that to dry wherever. So if you leave it on a flat surface to dry, it is more likely to stay flat. However, here is one that I made earlier, which has dried. It's got the string through. Oh, you can see the print of the cookie cutter on my hand. So this one has dried already. And as you can see, like the edges are curled up because I let it dry while it was hanging up. Okay, so that is what it looks like. I think it's quite nice curled up. It makes it look a bit more rustic, but you can decide whatever you want to do. So another thing that you can do is if you don't have a cookie cutter to the shapes that you like, you could cut it out with the knife. Okay, so if you kind of try and flatten your peel a little bit, very, very carefully, try and cut out your shape. It's best if you don't draw on the peel because it's quite hard to get pen off of it. So it will look better if you just go for it. I'm going to try and do a star shape. What's a good tip about making a star is that this line should line up with this line, and then this line should line up with this line, and so on. So this line will line up with this line, and that just kind of gives you a bit of a guide to know how to do it, basically. I've already messed it up a little bit, but you know what? It's rustic. It doesn't matter too much. Where are we going? In line with that line. In line with that line. Finally, in line with that line. Now that is quite a rustic star. However, I think it looks quite nice. So again, I just need to make the hole, but I can't find, oh, there it is. So I'm just going to make the hole probably there. You can kind of use a circular motion with the your poker, just so that it makes the hole a little tiny bit bigger. So that is my one. Cool. If you want to do it with scissors, it's just the same. So you can just get your segment and use some scissors to cut out your shape if you would like to. It's obviously easy to cut it out while the peel is still fresh, but if you were to leave it until it's harder, then it's not very easy to cut out any shapes when it's gone a bit harder. I thought it'd be quite nice for you to see what they look like when they've dried. So I've just got them on my fingers here. But I think they're quite nice, and they would look quite good if they were attached to presents maybe, or to the tree, or kind of hanging from a mantelpiece or something. And you can kind of hear, so I just get you together. They're quite kind of brittle now. So they've fully dried out, and that only took a day and a half. And last but not least is my favorite one because it makes the house smell so nice. These are the dried slices. So I used orange for my ones, but you can use any citrus fruit. The principle of it is that you make thin enough slices of the fruit so that they can dry in the oven without cooking them. So you are just drying them rather than cooking them. And then because they're dried, they are preserved and they can last for years and years and years. They do smell really nice at the start, but kind of as the oils evaporate over time, they do stop smelling eventually, but they do last for a really long time. So I've got some that I made earlier here. And as you can hear, they're pretty dry. So this one has burnt a little bit in the oven. However, it's not so burnt that it looks rubbish. So the white bit around the edge is still white. So I think it looks fine. Even if they do burn a little bit, I think they still look quite good. Okay, so what you could use them for are like present decoration. You could put them on the front of Christmas cards. I have made a garland out of my ones, and I'm also going to do some more so that I can hang them on the tree like in that picture. You can also super glue them to wreaths and things. When you attach them, it's much easier if you attach your string going through the flesh of the orange rather than trying to go through the rind. Okay, so you might want to go through the middle, or you might want to go through the flesh near an edge where you want to actually hang it from. But it's really, really tough to get through this bit around the edge, which is where the skin is, where the rind is. Cool. It's also really nice if you put them near a window, because they are translucent and you can see the light going through them and they look really nice. So you will need 2 large oranges, which is enough for a garland, or enough to decorate an entire Christmas tree if you're doing them as individual decorations. You can also use any citrus fruit that you like. You do need to use the oven, and the oven needs to have a wire shelf in it, so a wire rack that goes into the oven, and that's just so that the air can circulate around each slice. You need to have oven gloves or a fork or tongs so that you can turn the orange slices every so often when they're in the oven. You need some kitchen towels to pat the orange slices dry before they go in, and you need a knife and a chopping board for when you're actually slicing up the slices. So your instructions are to cut the oranges into a 1 centimeter slice. So if you've got your orange and you can see this bit at the end where it kind of grows out of, you want your orange this way up so that you can do slices like this. So as you can see in the picture, the like core of the orange goes through every slice, and that's how to do it best. You do need to pat each slice dry with the kitchen towel to absorb the excess moisture afterwards. You then need to place the slices on a wire oven rack in the oven at 120 degrees. So that is the temperature for a British oven, which is good. It's quite a cold oven, so you're not trying to cook the slices, you are just giving them a warm environment so that they can dry out. And you need to put them in there for about 3 hours. Turn them about every half an hour so that they dry evenly. A lot of ovens have some parts of the oven that are hotter than other parts of the oven, and often as well heat comes down from the elements, so turning them just means that they're all going to be done at the right time and both sides are going to be done. You then need to remove them from the oven when they are dry to the touch but still a bit sticky or rubbery. So with my one here, if I use my finger to squidge these bits, even though it's quite thin, just because it hasn't fully completely dried out completely yet, you can still feel them not quite as hard as you would think. So this white bit in the middle makes that sound, but the bit around the edge is still a little bit soft. So that just needs to dry out a bit more. But when it comes straight out of the oven, it does feel a tiny bit soft in these fleshy bits over here. So don't worry about that. If your slices start to burn before the juice has evaporated, you need to turn the temperature of the oven down so that they are just hot enough so that the moisture can evaporate, because you don't really want them to burn. So some of mine have gone a little bit brown around the edges. So if you see that one and that one, they are a little bit almost burnt, but still okay. If they're any past that, I think you're going to need to either consider doing thinner slices next time, or just turn the oven way down, and it's just going to take a little bit longer. You then need to allow your slices to cool with air around them. So this is once they're out of the oven. So this could be on a cooling rack or hanging up. So you could literally just hang them above your fireplace or on the tree or something in a warm room so that they can continue to dry out, but while they're in the room. So yeah, so they're going to become harder at that point. I'm going to do a small demonstration for how to cut the slices. If you think it would be helpful for you to see that as well. So the last thing, if your slices are too thick and you would like to save them, as we learned earlier, the cloves can actually preserve the fruit. So if you put cloves in them, if you've got really, really thick slices, you can put cloves in them and that will help to preserve it. So while it's drying out, it doesn't go moldy because it might take a bit longer for the thicker ones to dry out. So I'm now going to do a demonstration for those of you who think that that would be helpful. If not, you can just crack on and I will see you next week. So if you're staying for the demonstration, the first thing you need to do is cut your slices. So you want this kind of knobbly end and this knobbly end to be facing kind of across you horizontally. You want to hold it in a position that is stable. So you have all of your fingers on the fruit and away from the end. So we're going to slice this way, so that's down towards there. So with a nice sharp knife in a sawing motion, go quite slowly, and you can leave the first bit because that looks a bit weird. You could dry that if you really liked it, but yeah, it's not going to work as well as the other ones. So this is a bit of a weird orange because it's quite big. It's ended up growing kind of extra bits, but when it's dried, I think that looks really, really cool. So I quite like the ones kind of extra shape. They look quite nice. So you've got that there. Bearing in mind, you need to keep your fingers well away from this edge. So my fingers are all back here. You then need to put the knife on at about 1 centimetre away from the edge. Hold it nice and firmly and just slowly or kind of saw down. Good. So it should look like that. Okay, so you can put that down. You then just need to get as many slices as you can out of the whole orange. So that one I think is a little bit thick. I'm going to try it anyway, but that might have to be going in the bin. So a little bit thinner than that. I'm going to try. It is quite hard to get even slices. So if you're struggling, maybe ask an adult if they can do some for you, but it is quite hard. You also do get to a point where it's quite hard to hold the fruit any longer because your fingers are kind of running out of space to hold it. So that one is much better. That's a much better thickness for that orange slice. Just going to lay that down there. I'm going to do as many of these as I can before I run out of holding space. Okay, so this one, because I have gone a bit too thin at the end, I haven't got rind and peel the whole way round. This will still work, it just means that this bit here will be a bit weaker than in other ones, so it might not be the best if I'm doing a garland or something. However, if I were to hang it from this way up so that the string was through there, which is quite strong, that would still be okay. So I'm still going to keep that one. Okay, I think this is pretty much the limit for me for how many slices I can get out, just because I can't really hold that any longer. So I'm going to leave those there, and I'm just going to go and get a paper towel to do the next bit. So as you can probably see, there's actually quite a lot of moisture coming out of these, which is not great considering that we need to dry them, and there's a lot of juice that's still on the board. So I've got a triple layered bit of kitchen roll. I'm just going to lay down here. I'm going to place all of my slices on. Obviously, if you've got loads and loads of slices, you'll need loads and loads of kitchen towel. So then I've got my piece so that I can just dab it over the top. So I'm just going to fold that in half so it's double layered, and literally just press it on to each slice so that it gets the excess moisture off. So you can kind of see that quite a lot of moisture is coming off of each one. So it's good to just get this off before it goes in the oven, because it means that our drying time will be a lot less. You don't have to be very careful with the fruit at this point. It's okay if you press it kind of hard. Just try and soak up as much of that moisture as you can. So it's not dry to the touch, however, it doesn't feel just like pure orange juice how I did it before. So it's still a little bit kind of moist, but that's okay. So next you are going to need to load up your wire rack to go into the oven. So you can just put the slices on just any way that you like. Try and make sure that they don't fall through the gaps. Have some at the front and some at the back, so that wherever your oven is hottest, you can then kind of move them all around as and when you need to. So now that they're on the wire rack, they can go into the oven. So the oven needs to be set to between 100 and 120 degrees. So for an oven temperature, that is quite cool, but that's good because we don't really want to cook the oranges. We just want them to dry out. And then after you have done that, you can bring your oranges out of the oven, and they won't quite be as hard as this, but give them probably a day to dry and they will be. Yeah, and they look really, really nice. So you can poke holes in these if you need to. So I've lost my hole poker. Anyway, so you can poke a hole in any of these kind of fleshy bits around here. Might just do it with a pen for now just to show you. So if I wanted a hole there, I can just go through like that and quite easily get a hole, and then you can just string anything that you like through there to hang them up. I hope you enjoyed this week's video, and I hope that you managed to make some of your citrus decorations in time for Christmas. All of them make the house smell really, really nice and Christmassy, so I hope that you enjoy that. Yeah, I will be doing another video next week before Christmas, so please stay tuned for that and send me any of your creations. See you next week.